Again, I'm Shane Ratliff with the City of Port St. Lucie's Office of Emergency Management, and I'm going to introduce to you today our next presenters. They will be talking about, I will be leading the questions, and I've got a whole bunch of questions here for them. And then, depending on how much time we have at the end, we'll ask you all if you have any questions to talk or to ask them as well. So first of all, I've got Kurt Meyer. Kurt, raise your hand there. Kurt Meyer is from the St. Lucie County Department of Public Safety, Radiological Division, and Wesley Armstrong, who is with the City of Port St. Lucie Neighborhood Services Department. And the forum for this panel is I'll be leading the questions. Some questions will be directed to both of you, and some of them will be just for one of you. And if you submitted, you as the audience, if you submitted your questions via email when we put out the thing before the first time we were going to have the Hurricane Expo, we asked for people to submit questions to ask of the various panels that we have today. So we've incorporated those questions into one of the two panels today, depending on which one it most fit with the people answering it was. And if you have a question in the audience related to the topics discussed, we'll let you ask those on the end. So Kurt, Wes, are you ready?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So first question, this is for both of you. Can you both explain what your positions are within your organizations?
My position with St. Lucie County Public Safety is actual senior radiological coordinator. With the radiological coordinator position, we have several different programs that we take care of besides the power plant coordination, and that is special needs program and the Alert St. Lucie program that we have.
Okay, Wes?
All right. I work for Neighborhood Services. I'm one of the code compliance supervisors for the City of Port St. Lucie. So we oversee property inspections and enforce city ordinances throughout the city.
All right, so that kind of what you do leads us into our second question. Wes, after a tropical storm or hurricane, residents may have the urge to leave their storm shutters up for the rest of hurricane season. I know I'm one of them. What is the danger that comes along with doing this?
So the danger, there's two. The first one being fire safety. The worst thing you can have on your house during a fire are storm shutters. The fire department will actually ventilate fire throughout a house to control it so it doesn't spread to other parts of your home or neighboring properties and cause more damage. The biggest issue, most people tend to leave them on their garage because, there's no one in your garage, you're not living there. However, the electrical panels and hot water heaters tend to be in there, and that's where fires tend to start. So it can cause a lot of problems that way. The second one being ingress and egress to allow emergency services to actually enter your home. People will surprisingly, during hurricane season, use an electric garage door to enter and exit their home because their front door is actually shuttered. So you slip and fall, you call 911, they're not getting into your house. They're going to have to cut your front door literally off, the shutters off of it. So that's another, it's just a life safety issue when it comes to your protection.
And I'll add to that, as someone, I was a firefighter for 25 years in Kentucky before I moved to Florida, and as far as the egress goes, if you're asleep in your bedroom and the fire's in the hallway outside your bedroom, you're not getting out your door. What are you getting out of? Your window. If it's shuttered, you're not getting out your window. And unfortunately, it'll take so much time for the fire department to try to cut those metal shutters off your window that you will probably not make it due to smoke inhalation, if not the fire itself, before they're able to do so. So it's very important to make sure that you take those shutters down after the storm.
2 years ago, we had an incident in the city where the back sliders were completely shuttered. The residents got out, but their dogs did not, and the fire department couldn't get them out in time because the back of the fire was in the front of their home, and the back of their home was fully shuttered, and they couldn't remove it safely in time to get 2 dogs out who died in the fire.
Okay, and then a follow-up to that, Wes, what's the ordinance in the city for how long people can leave their shutters up?
So the ordinance is section 4110M3. During hurricane season, which is June 1st to November 30th, the only time you can have shutters on an occupied home, so you're living in your house, is 48 hours prior to a hurricane, 14 days after a hurricane, or for any residential property if it's unoccupied. So if you're a snowbird, you can shutter your home as long as no one's living in it through that entire time. However, in hurricane season, it's only 48 hours before or 14 days after a named storm event.
Great, thank you for that, Wes. Kurt, the next one's for you.
All right.
I'll give you the softball question first. Can you explain to us what Alert St. Lucie is and what does it do?
Okay, so Alert St. Lucie is a web design or a platform that St. Lucie County uses. It's actually powered by Everbridge. The state DEM, Division of Emergency Management, actually pays for that, so the whole state of Florida can actually, so the whole state of Florida can, for the counties, access this program, and then they name it whatever it is. So like, here it's Alert St. Lucie, Martin, it might be Martin Alert. So we use that. Anybody can use that to sign up for weather alerts of any type, but just strongly caution that you make sure that you open up the category so you specifically pick what you want to receive in notifications. And you could set up any type of devices. You can put your cell phones, home phones, emails. You put your cell phone down for a text message if you want. The only thing is also when you receive the message, confirm the message, because if you have more than one device, it's going to go to the next device and to the next device until somebody actually confirms it, or they went through all your devices that you signed up for. Not only does it do weather alerts, we put out other public safety messages, such as boil water notices, any other types of like points of distribution post-storm. So if we get devastated, we need to put out food and water for different areas of the county. We'll be putting that message out. Of course, the news media will also be putting that information out, but we're going to put that out so you individually can get it and get there and get your supplies if you need them.
And I will attest to what Kurt's saying about making sure you confirm it, because if you're like me and I have it coming to 2 email addresses, 2 cell phones, and a landline in my office, and the office is the first one it hits, because that way if I'm there between normal business hours, if you don't confirm it, it will do every one of them, and then and if you're in a meeting or something, yeah, you really want to confirm it, because if not, then every other device you've got is going to go off too. So it's really good about as much as you add to it, as many ways as you can let it notify you, the better off you are, but you want to confirm it as soon as you get it. That way it doesn't keep harassing you.
Yeah, that's our biggest complaint from people, is that the biggest complaint is that they keep getting inundated with these messages, and I have to explain to them that they need to confirm it, or they just get upset and say, just get me out of it. But to me, it's a very important tool to have to get those weather events, notifications, and any other safety information. I know some of the cities and sheriff's office also uses it for criminal notifications as well. So.
And yeah, like you said, there's so many categories that you can pick for it to notify you about, and so I would caution you not to just click the check all, because I mean you'll get freeze warnings, frost advisories if we ever have one. You'll get, I mean, about anything the National Weather Service puts out, you will get. So in June, when there's a severe thunderstorm every single day, you're going to get, all your devices are going to get that severe thunderstorm warning, and you're like, duh, the sky's black. I mean, of course it's a severe thunderstorm coming. So I purposely don't put, severe thunderstorms. I go tornadoes, anything has to do with tornado, anything's going to kill me right away, I want to make sure I know about that. So that's the ones that I check so that I don't get, and it's very versatile. I mean, it's a great program. If you haven't signed up for it, stlucie.co/alert will take you straight to the
stlucieco.gov.
Oh, stlucieco.gov/alert. I'm sorry. So St. Lucie CO, which means county.gov/alert, will take you right to it.
And one other point, when you do that website, it will redirect you to the Everbridge website, but it will show you that it's St. Lucie County. I just want to make sure that, because some people get confused when they get on the website and it takes you to the St. Lucie County's website, but then it shows it's redirecting. It's not a spam or anything like that. It's just, we want to take you to their site so you can actually sign up a little quicker.
It's for when we do like outreach presentations like we're doing right now. If I had to tell you the Everbridge site, none of you would remember it. None of you would be able to write it down because it's like everbridge.com/member/ and it's like 14 numbers.
And characters.
And characters. And so I would never be able to say it. So we say stlucieco.gov/alert, which is easy to remember, and it redirects you to that Everbridge site so you can sign up. All right, Wes, can you explain the dangers of generators before, during, and after a storm?
So generators do pose several dangers, the first being carbon monoxide. So you run a generator, you want to make sure you're running it outside in an area that's well ventilated, not next to anything that's open, no open doors, open windows, anything like that. People will try and run them out of their garage. Carbon monoxide is odorless and colorless. You don't know what's happening until it's too late. So you want to make sure to keep that in a well-ventilated area. You want to make sure your CO alarms in your house prior to hurricane season are working. Test the batteries on them, replace them if needed. The next one being fire. So when you're going to refuel, make sure it's completely turned off and cool. Leave it off for a while. As people refuel, fuel spills, it hits an area that's hot, catches fire. Now you're holding a gas can over fire. It's not good. Store the gas in a proper container as well, safely. Make sure it's not next to the generator or anything else for that matter is stored next to the generator. When it comes to fire safety, the third being electrocution. So you want to make sure not to plug too many items into your generator. Follow the safety manual for the generator itself. You need to make sure you do not plug the generator into your home. That will happen sometimes. That poses a electrical safety issue for utility workers and even your neighbors if you backflow the electricity into your home. So you want to make sure not to do that. Plug devices directly into the generator. Make sure your extension cords are not frayed and plugged in properly as well. And test your generators. A lot of them will require oil changes, things like that, proper maintenance per the generator manual as well.
And as a survivor of carbon monoxide poisoning when I was 13 years old, I can tell you that what he said about being odorless, colorless, you don't even know that you're breathing it in, is exactly right. I mean, I was on a bus on a school trip, and the exhaust pipe about the middle of the bus had a giant hole in it, and so it was filling the back half of the bus with carbon monoxide the entire trip. And about 2 hours into it, I lost consciousness, they say, and just fell straight out of my seat into the floor, and I didn't wake up until I was outside of the bus, and then I'd been out of the bus for like 5 minutes before I got enough oxygen to come back to, and I didn't even know it. I mean, I didn't smell anything. I'm sitting there talking with my friends, and all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, I feel kind of funny, but I had no idea what kind of funny I felt. It was just like, ooh, I feel funny. And then that's the last thing I said is, ooh, I feel funny. Mm-hmm. And then I was completely out. So, yes, make sure you don't fool around with putting like generators, grills, anything like that inside a garage or inside the house. Make sure they're far away.
Even a back porch that's under an overhang, don't do it. It will ventilate into your home. It might go through soffits or through, again, open windows. If you don't have power after a hurricane because you're running your generator, everything's going to be open. So you do have to make sure that nothing is ventilating into your home. Even, again, if you have a fan on or a window open, it will still get you.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful with that.
And the worst part of it is by the time you realize something's wrong with you, you can't do anything about it because you can't move anymore. All your muscles stop working, so you can't stand up. You can't get yourself out of it. So at that point, it was too late. Thank God there were people in the front of the bus who said, "Ooh, let's drag Shane off the bus." I don't know why they thought to do that, but they did, and then everybody else started passing out because they were sitting on the bus, and they realized, okay, let's get everybody off the bus. All right, Kurt, next question. And this is a 5.5 part question.
All right.
Now, can you explain to us what a special needs shelter is, and then I'll ask you all the parts after you give me that.
So a special needs shelter is it's used for a last resort. Special needs client or registrant would be somebody that's oxygen independent, needs electricity to survive, like CPAP supply, machines. You need to have those plugged in so you can get the proper airflow to your lungs. Somebody that's there have mobility issues, such as walkers, wheelchairs, or even folks that are bedbound. The special needs shelter is used for those types of people, but it's definitely for a last resort. Those clients will be on a cot, and their caregiver will be on a metal chair, not those nice comfy ones you're sitting in now. They're just metal chairs. We want it to be a last resort, so that way if they can find family and friends, I believe that they're going to be more comfortable in those houses than with a group of 600 other special needs clients sitting on a cot or laying on a cot going to bed.
Exactly. And where is the primary special needs shelter in the county?
Okay, so the primary special needs shelter in our county for St. Lucie is at the Havert L. Finn Center, which is 2000 Virginia Avenue in Fort Pierce. That's the only one that we have, and we can hold up to 600 plus clients, and that's counting one caregiver and the many staff that the health department has over there to assist.
And if there were to be an inundation, you had 800. Let's say you had 800 show up. Is there some kind of contract in place for a secondary shelter?
There is a place for that. That's at the Port St. Lucie Community Center, and I really don't know the address, but I know it's across from the Port St. Lucie PD, the city buildings.
Across from the City Hall complex on
There you
Eroso.
go.
But do not go there first.
No.
It will not be open unless the Finn Center is at maximum capacity.
Correct.
Just because it's much harder to get enough staff to staff 2 of them than it is to staff 1. So all the staff will be at the 1 unless they have to do a 2, and then they'll be calling in staff from all over the place
Right.
to come in to staff the second.
Yeah, we'll have to get with the state to get extra people
To
to
get
assist with
nurses and that kind of
second.
stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so what can you bring to the shelter?
What can you bring to the shelter? You definitely want to bring something that will occupy your time, but don't disturb the others. Cards, book to read, a video or something. You can put your headphones on. You want to make sure that you bring all of your prescription bottles, so that way if you forget how many pills you're supposed to take that day and what kind of pill it is, you have those bottles already. Plus, if you have those bottles and you run out during that time, the health department can make arrangements to get more medication for you, at least until that event is over with. But they're going to need that prescription bottle. You want to make sure that you bring some extra food that's for your dietary needs. I mean, we will have food available, but stuff does happen, and something may happen at the facility and they won't be able to cook any food. So at least if you have some type of food for your dietary needs, you'll be able to eat. They should have water, but on the side of caution, always bring a gallon per person per day. We expect at least minimum of 3 days.
All right, can you bring your pets with you to the shelter?
Okay, no pets are allowed in the special needs shelter. Service animals are allowed. So if you do have foo-foo that, I know they're dear to you. I know I had one that passed away quite a few years ago, and that dog was my child. The problem is we can't have regular animals or regular pets in the center. They're not equipped with it. There is pet-friendly shelters. Westwood is one of them. You just have to pre-register. There's an online registration in the counties. If you do St. Lucie County EOC, you Google that, you can go through our website and find the pet-friendly shelters for the registration. Or you can get with your veterinarian. Sometimes they will also house your animal. And then they would be taken care of, because that's who you take them to take care of your animal anyhow, or your loved one.
When can I apply for the special needs shelter? If I'm one of the people in the audience and I need it, when can I apply for it?
You can apply at any time. It's an online registration. It's at the stlucieco.gov/special needs. Don't put a space in it. It's all one word for special needs. And then that will redirect you to the Everbridge website to register for special needs. You'll have to create a username and password. You'll need to remember that username and password. So if you go to booth number 2 over there, I have some postcards. You can actually put that information on and put it on your refrigerator, because you want to be able to update annually. So, or whenever there's any changes. So this week, I'm not in a wheelchair. Something may happen to me. Now I'm in a wheelchair, so now I have to update my special needs registration to say that I'm in a wheelchair, so that way the health department can help accommodate you. So we ask everybody to update their information annually, but you can register at any time.
All right.
And it's important that you pre-register, so that way the health department has an idea of how many people are actually going to show up, so they can make sure that if they have to call the state to get extra nurses to come down.
Thank you. And you answered 2 of the questions, so now we just have one more left.
All right.
Okay, so now I'm signed up, for special needs shelter, but I can't drive. I either don't have a car, or I'm special need and I physically can't drive a car. How do I get to the shelter?
Okay, so there is a spot in the registration. So if you do not have transportation of any sort, you can select that you need medical attention and transportation, and a company called MV Transportation will be notifying you 3 days prior to the storm that we're going to come pick you up, or actually ask you if you still need a ride, because you might have gotten hooked up with a friend or a family member that's going to pick you up and take you to their home. So then they just ask if you still need a ride. They'll take that information. If you still do need a ride, they'll call back again and say, hey, listen, we know we're going to pick you up around Friday, but we'll call you back again from a window time frame. So then they'll give you a third call to let you know what window time frame they'll be able to get there to pick you up. You just need to make sure that all your stuff that you're going to take to the shelter is at the doorway. So if you're on a concentrator, and I know some of those are heavy, but some of them do have wheels, try to push that over to the front door, so that way it can also be transported with you, or any oxygen bottles as well. Make sure you bring those. The MV Transportation will accommodate and store those to take you over to the special needs shelter.
Okay, great. Thank you. So before we open up the floor for questions, I want to ask both of you, can you share with us one preparedness tip that you would like for everyone in this room to know?
For storm shutters, the best thing to do is at the start of the season, which was last month, double check everything, all your fittings on your home. If you have storm shutters that, the metal ones with wing nuts, you have enough of them. If you're going to try and obtain that 2 days before a hurricane, you're not going to find them. You go to Home Depot, plywood's going to be gone, Tapcons are going to be sold out. So make sure you're prepared that if you have accordion shutters, double check that they can close. The night before a hurricane hits and they're rusted shut, you might not be able to shut those. So it's always good just to double check everything, that everything's secure, so when you do need it, it's in place for you.
Thank you, Wes. Kurt?
One of the tips that I'll have is make sure that if you do evacuate your home, or even if you don't evacuate your home, put all of your emergency information documents in a plastic bag. So that way, one, they will never get wet. And if you're at the house and something, God forbid, knock on wood, the roof comes off your house and now you're getting rain inside your house and you didn't have those important documentation in a sealed Ziploc or something, they're going to get wet and destroyed, and you're going to have to go down to the Social Security office, go get your Social Security card, go get your driver's license or whatever else it may be that you need. And you will definitely need to bring your identification when you come to the special needs shelter. But definitely cover up those important documents, your marriage license, stuff like that. I mean, unless you don't want to be really married to her again.
Insurance documents, that's another important
Yes,
one.
insurance,
Keep your
thank
because
you.
if your home gets damaged, there's more than you that has State Farm or Allstate.
Right, and-
There's going to be adjusters everywhere, and if you can't, prove to them that you're their client, they might not be so willing to help.
Correct.
Does anybody in the audience have any questions for our presenters?
Oh,
Huh?
good.
Come on,
Let's
don't be
go.
shy.
Oh,
There you go.
I had heard that you should shut the power, your circuit box off if you're going to leave. Is that true?
For
the
if you're going to
house.
leave like during a hurricane or
No, like if you leave the house, should you turn the power off to the house?
like if you're going to like let's say a snowbird and you're going to leave for the season.
No, if for the hurricane,
Oh, just for a hurricane in general.
if you're going to evacuate.
Yeah, you can. I don't think it's a requirement or anything in terms of that.
Just in
But if you
case
just want to
the-
be safe in case.
Just so you don't have a fire.
Yeah, and then in the event you're hit by unplug everything if you want to go that route. But I mean, your refrigerator is going to be not powered and
Right,
and
right.
things like that. So you want to make sure at least to take preparations when it comes to that, or you're going to come back to not a great smell.
And your home insurance covers that. If your refrigerator and freezer, everything spoils in it, there's a certain amount depending on,
They
that
will
that
cover,
covers replacing
yeah,
that.
the
I
food.
think it's up to $250 on most policies. Here you go, sir.
Okay, I'm new to Florida. I'm from New York, and I don't know what to do if a hurricane comes. What do I do? Hide my bathtub or something? How do I know when I'm supposed to evacuate?
So you want to make sure you have your home is protected. You have everything in place in terms of your shutters, like Kurt was saying, important documents, things like that. You want to bring with you. If it depends on the home. If your home has been there for 40, 50 years, it's gone through a couple of hurricanes. However, we get a Category 5 off the coast. I don't know many people that are going to stay here for that. So there's emergency shelters that are specifically built.
There'll be, you can see it on TV, website. If you sign up for the Alert St. Lucie, you'll get, text alerts or email alerts, depending on which one you choose. We were talking about the Alert St. Lucie earlier. And they will give you the information like evacuate zone. Y'all do it ABC, right? Like zone
Correct.
A. Yeah, evacuate zone A. Well, on their webpage, Zone A, you can zoom all the way into the street level and see what streets are in Zone A, which are mostly right by the river. If you're right by the St. Lucie River, Zone A. Yep. Yeah. As we were telling people earlier, you don't have to go to Georgia or Tennessee. As a matter of fact, if you try to go to Georgia or Tennessee, you will probably end up sitting on the interstate or the turnpike with all the other snowbirds that think they have to go to Georgia or Tennessee to get away from a hurricane. All you need to do is get 10 to 15 miles inland of the coast, because the majority of the time, I think it's like 85% of the time, what kills you in a hurricane is drowning, floods. Mm-hmm. It's not the wind. And so emergency managers, we always, there's an old thing that we say run from the water, but hide from the wind. So if you're far enough inland that you're just getting the winds, you're not getting a 20-foot storm surge. If you were in here for Mike Lyons' presentation last, there was a 20-foot storm surge that came with Hurricane Dorian on the islands over in Marsh Harbor in the Bahamas. If you're a quarter of a mile from the coast and a 20-foot storm surge comes in, you're going to have a lot of water in your house if it doesn't wash away completely. So run from the water, but hide from the wind. So if it's going to be a wind event and your home is built to, did you say it was just built? Is a new home, brand new home? You're built to the most current Florida building code, and our building code is the best in the country for wind. California's is the best for earthquakes, right? Because they put things so that it has a little bit of give in them. We don't have that, but ours are built for wind down here in Florida. Now, if I were in Kentucky, I would say get out. If hurricane's coming, towards Kentucky, get out, because your home is not built to withstand wind, but it is down here in Florida. If it's been built since, I think Mike said 2001 was when that building code was was updated to the current standard, and that was based off of what happened during Hurricane Andrew. Everybody's heard of Hurricane Andrew. The 30th anniversary is coming up this year in August. That was down in Homestead, just south of Miami, and it leveled everything because it was all a wind event. You know, there wasn't a lot of flooding with that one. It was just wind, and it knocked everything down. And it was because those homes were not built to withstand wind. Now, if it's been built since 2001, which is when they updated it, it's built to withstand more wind. Mobile homes excluded. Someone asked a mobile home question in the last session. Mobile homes excluded. You should always evacuate if you're in a mobile home, especially if it's expected to come to where you are. Now, if you're in Port St. Lucie and it's going to hit Broward County, I don't think you'd have to evacuate here. But if they say evacuate here and you live in a mobile home, evacuate, because they are not built to withstand those kind of winds like a traditional home is.
And can I add one thing to it? You want to make sure you have a plan in place before we get a hurricane. So meaning is, if you're planning to go somewhere else, you evacuate the area, do not do it 2 days before landfall. You, like Shane said, you will be stuck on the interstate, and then you will be trying everything to find fuel. I've seen where the interstate has been blocked off and it was a big parking lot. So if you're going to do an evacuation, do it well before everybody else decides to do it last minute. And to answer your question about how to find out, like Shane said, the news media, no matter what channel, local news media you go to, if there's a storm coming close to us, they will be talking about it. They always do.
So thank you all once again for coming. Our next presentation will be at 11:45 with WPTV First Alert meteorologist James Wheeland. Thank you.
Thank you.